What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. As you all know, we have reduced our episodes to once a week now, so we will be dropping those on Fridays now. It's summer times right now here. Sports are kind of dwindling down just a little bit, and it's just going to be easier on us, and we're going to take a little break on the 2 episodes a week, but we'll get back on that as soon as Kentucky basketball and football come back into play. So we're looking forward to that. So keep listening to us and stay tuned. But we got plenty to talk about now since we're only doing 1 episode a week. So tonight, our first topic that we're going to talk about is the NBA playoffs. So, guys, I think these playoffs have been one of the more surprising playoffs that I think that I've watched at least since the bubble, which is five years. I think it's been very surprising, also very intriguing. Good games all around. But let's just start off with, you got the number 1 seed Cavs in the entire NBA lose 4-1 to the Pacers. I want to hear some of y'all's thoughts on that. But before I send it over to y'all, I do want to say that the Cavaliers weren't fully healthy, and I will give that to them. However, I do think they were healthy enough to not lose 4-1. I think that I give them, if they would have lost the series 4-2, but I think they could have won 2 games, given the roster that they had, and also being a, not an experienced team as far as playoff experience, but as far as playing the guys on that team, other than maybe like your Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. Other than that, most of their guys have made some deep runs or been in the playoffs a lot. So kind of surprising there. Any thoughts on that series? I will say this: I didn't watch much of that series. My attention has been on the Celtics Knicks, which we'll dive into. But any initial takes on that? And it's also not a surprise to me. I think I said this at the beginning. I could see the Cavaliers losing. Not this much, maybe not even the Pacers. But go ahead, Colton. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so the Cavs just should have won. They've blown some decent leads in a couple of those early games for sure. Obviously they dealt with injuries. That is a big deal. But to me, you ever notice though, like those teams that are really good during the regular season, but you just know that they haven't been there yet, and you don't know if they're ready for it yet.
It's kind of like whenever LeBron was at the Heat and the Cavs. They're like the modern day Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks were great in the regular season, but they never could get past. Like their ceiling was always there in the regular season. They never could make a deep run.
Right, and that's how I feel about this Cavs team. They're a bunch of young, talented players. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell is a superstar, but he's not in that top tier superstar. Like he's a good star. He would be he would be a second star to a lot of these guys. The SGAs, the Jokic, all these guys. He would be the number 2 guy on all those teams, and I think that's where Donovan Mitchell needs to kind of be, because not saying obviously he had a great game. One of those games, I think he's got 45 points or something like that. So he has that potential. Not saying he doesn't, but I don't think he's really built to be that type of guy day in and day out.
Yeah, and I don't want me to interrupt you, but I do want to say, I think that's a good point. I agree with you, and I think the reason why is because he's more of a scorer only. He doesn't facilitate near as much as Jokic or SGA. He doesn't make other people better. It's just him, really. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing, but it's just that I agree with you, though.
Yeah, and so I just think they have a lot of players that play the same style of basketball. They're not defensive minded. They're athletic. They're relying a lot on their athleticism and trying to drive the ball and score. Like that's the Cavalier style. Well, the Pacers are a good team. Like I said, they're built. They don't have a all-star either, but they're more well-rounded as far as what they can do and at all positions. And I just think that they kind of hit them in the mouth. You get down early and you probably start pressing a little bit. And I think the Cavs, just between injuries, they just kind of set up for that. And that's the difference. You take the Celtics tonight, right? That's the difference in teams. The Cavaliers lose a guy and they fold. Jason Tatum tears his Achilles, they win by 20. Like that's a difference in the maturity level and the experience that the Celtics have compared to the Cavs. I just don't think they're ready. I mean, they're one of those up and coming teams, but now who knows? Like Donovan Mitchell may not be there for he seems like one of those he moves every 4 or 5 years probably. So I wouldn't be surprised that they kind of move off him and some of the younger pieces also. But
yeah, go ahead, Mason.
So, yeah, I mean, your initial point about, Donovan Mitchell kind of not being like that top tier guy like some of these other teams have, and I think that's part of the reason why I think that they didn't play very well in this particular series, because you have Darius Garland hurt. And I think Darius Garland does a good job of taking off from Donovan Mitchell. He can kind of create. He shares the ball pretty well. He's that other guard and kind of get things going for him. And I just think Donovan Mitchell, he had, a couple good games, but I just feel like he was trying to force a lot, trying to basically do everything by himself, right? Especially with some of those injuries. And like you said, you have the Pacers. They're just a well-rounded team, and sometimes those teams just, I said this a couple episodes ago. I feel like they play better sometimes in the playoffs because intensity picks up, defense picks up, and some of these teams rely too heavily on, their main guy. And he has a couple off nights. Who are you going to go to? All right, you've been feeding him all season long. That's who you play through. But these other teams, they don't really have that, right? They just kind of run their offense, and different guy can give 20 any given night. And I think that was kind of the key in this particular series. And the Pacers play hard. They got guys that come off the bench that play hard. They're athletic. They got guys that can come off and give you 20. Benedict Mathurin, I think he had 25 or 31 game. They're just a well-rounded team, and I think they just wanted it more. They came out and stole too early, and from there, I mean, it's hard to come back from that, especially with injuries. So,
yeah. Well, let's shift gears to the other Eastern Conference Showdown, which I think everybody thinks is the most intriguing game in series right now, and that's the Celtics and Knicks. And you make it even more headlines now that you have Jason Tatum. So for those who didn't, I mean, I'm sure Jason Tatum has tore his Achilles in game 5. Game 4, right?
yeah, game 5 was tonight.
And he was tearing it up too. I don't know if y'all watched it, but that first half he was on fire. I think he had 20 or something the first quarter. I mean, he was balling. I mean, and he finally got his 3-point shot going. That's all he was missing in this series. I felt like he couldn't find his shot, and he finally found his shot. And then you see a guy go down. And I think it's always so, like, anybody who watches sports, especially I guess basketball, where you can really see, and that's I feel like where it happens the most. But anytime a guy tears his Achilles, you just know, like, and that player, even if they've never felt it like before, they know, like, immediately. It's just one of those injuries that's just kind of weird, and it's also probably one of the most common injuries that happen where there's not even contact with another player. It just happens on just trying to make a reach for the ball or a stride, and just boom, like that, and it's done. I think that given that Jason Tatum's gone, Colton, you mentioned that the Celtics still win by 20 in game 5. I think this series could still go to game 7. And the reason why is because you still have on that other side, on the Celtics, you have a Jaylen Brown who's carried a team before to a finals and won the finals MVP last year. He outplayed all his Jason Tatum. He outplayed him last year, and that's why he got it. Jaylen Brown is a dog. You still have a number 1 go-to player. And then that's not even talking about your Drew Holiday, your Kristaps Porzingis, your
Derek
Who
White.
else? You
White. Didn't he have 30
Yeah.
plus tonight?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you still have plenty of players to help you get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. But man, what a series. I mean, and the Knicks. Here we go again with the Knicks. Are they going to fumble? I mean, like, they have an opportunity to advance. And then that's something that's even more intriguing, I think, is you get here and you think about we could have a possible matchup. And I think either Mason, you or Colton once sent it in our group chat, like, who in what world did you think there would be a possible matchup of the Pacers and Knicks going to the NBA Finals? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's wild.
Yep.
like, so Mason, what are some of your takes on just the series itself? You can talk about Jason Tatum if you want. Take it however you want.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think this has been the most entertaining series. You know, there's been a lot of back and forth. Obviously, winning games, and even in the games themselves, you know, Celtics get up big. Knicks seem to make a run. You know, I feel like all their wins, they've been down 15 plus at some point. I'm pretty sure at every win they've had, they've been down 15 plus. So, I mean, it's intriguing to me to see. I mean, I felt like the Knicks. I didn't get to watch it tonight. I jumped on and looked at it somewhere in the third quarter or early in the third, I think, and they were close to being tied with them, down one or something. The game was pretty close. But did they ever get down, or did they ever? Was it pretty close the whole game, like up until the
Yeah.
third quarter, pretty much?
Yeah, up until it got to that third quarter and they started to pull away some.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Knicks are they're weird to me. I don't know what it is about them. You know, it's almost like they got to get down before they want to start playing hard, and it's kind of like they play with that chip on their shoulder. You know, they get down and like, all right, now we really got to lock in and start playing harder. But I mean, obviously, I think this next game, even without Jason Tatum, is a must win for the Knicks. I don't think there's any way they go back into Boston and win Game 7. But I think it's going to come down to Jalen Brunson at this point. You know, I mean, he's had a couple really good games where he just kind of took over, brought him back into the game. He's just got to come out and take over the game because, I mean, I think if you can get the Celtics down without Tatum, that can take some of their confidence and momentum away. So New York needs to come out and try to jump on them, you know, early at home, get the crowd into it. Obviously, that'll be an exciting game to watch, exciting atmosphere. So can't wait to watch that one.
So, what are your thoughts on the series?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Knicks are one of those that they're like a little bit more experienced Cavs. Like they've been there, they've been winning these first rounds for the last couple of years. They've built a team, they've got a guy full of role players, but Jalen Brunson is kind of like a Donovan Mitchell. Right? Like if you actually look, like Brunson he had a great game when Tatum went down the other night. But really, like Brunson was shooting like less than like 35 or 33% from the field like the whole series. Like it's not like he's like dominated the series. And Cat's actually played a pretty good series. He just ain't been like a dominant offensive player, and I think they kind of need him to be
It's
in a
been kind of
way.
more of a quiet series, quiet dominant
Yeah,
series.
he's still doing like anywhere from 18 to 25 and still having like 16 rebounds, and he's playing really good defense. If you watch, like he's having to guard like guys that are more like the three guys or the four, and he's playing really good defense. I just think like obviously this would be terrible for the Knicks if they don't pull this out. I mean, it's going to be because you went and got Cat, you went and got Anobi, like you got your team that you wanted, and their best player went down. You have a 3-1, you're up 3-1, you're full strength, and if you find a way to lose 3 straight games without their best player, I mean, I can hear Stephen A now. I mean, just going off because he's a big Knicks fan. I mean, first turn on first take, it will be unreal. Like the kind of backlash that the Knicks get. New York may burn down. I mean, it will be bad.
Did you all see? This is awful, but did you all see that guy who I don't on some show where they had posted a clip and they were talking. He was like, you know, he's a Knicks fan, and he was like, you know, people want to say you want to see the other team at their best. No, I don't. I don't want to see the Celtics at their best. And he said something like, he's like, I'm not an animal, but I'm glad Jason Tatum is hurt. And I was like, oh
Oh
my
my god!
goodness, these Knicks fans are
Oh,
ruthless.
they're ruthless.
And somebody had put it on X, and they're like, "Fire this man now from wherever he is at, whatever network he's on. This is too much."
Get
But
him out of here.
I was like, Knicks fans, man, they're a
Yeah,
diehard. But I mean, go
Let
New
me.
York, go New York, go. I mean,
yeah, right. I mean, it's going to be, it could be catastrophic. But now, if they make it, also, I mean, either way, at this point, if they make it, they're going to be expected, not that they should, absolutely, but they're going to be favored to beat the Pacers.
mhm.
So like they're from this point on, like their thoughts need to be the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
Now, if you get the NBA Finals and you get against OKC or one of the, I think any of those Western teams that's going to come out are probably better than the Knicks,
Yeah.
outside of maybe the Warriors. But I don't think they're going to make it with
yeah,
Steph gone. So I think Minnesota even would probably beat the Knicks.
yeah. Well, you're talking about on the Western Conference side, so let's shift gears there. You have the Warriors who are down 3-1 to Timberwolves, and also another injury to your superstar. I mean that's
Yeah,
another
that's a
headline
brutal
right
one.
now. I mean, like, who knows? This series could be it could be
Yeah,
3-2 Warriors. I mean, eh, you hate to see your star player, not just any player at that, but your star player from the Celtics in Jason Tatum, and then your star player for the Warriors and Steph Curry, who are both hurt. And this is Steph. His what? This is his third game now. He's out.
Yep. He only played the
So
first.
yeah, and he played in the first one, and I mean the last two games have been. I mean the Warriors have gave everything they've had, and they just keep coming up short. And you're just like, they don't have enough. They simply don't have enough. But Steph probably would have pushed them over the edge. I mean,
Oh yeah.
at
by
least one
far,
game for sure.
at least one. They're taking one of
It's
those.
a completely different series.
It's at
100%.
worst tied going into this game tonight.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree completely.
Well, but then you have the Thunder, and you have the Thunder Nuggets, which is another great series. That's 3-2, and the Nuggets controlled most of that game the other night. I don't know if y'all watched any of it, but like throughout the whole game, it was like the Nuggets were had the lead, and it felt like we're going to steal a game. And then all of a sudden, I was a little surprised in you have the youth in OKC prevail and get a big win. I mean, that's a game you cannot lose. You cannot lose where it's 2-2 and you have the home court advantage of the 7-game series with a game 5 at your place. And hats off to the Thunder. I mean, I think that they've bounced back because they went down 2-1 and they found a way to win 2 in a row to take charge of the series. Headed back to Denver tomorrow, or yeah, well, when this episode releases, it will be Thursday. But does the Thunder, do they have enough to get to the NBA Finals? Mason, what do you think?
Yes, I think they do. I think all around, we talked about this with a couple teams, but the Thunder, they just have guys that can come in and compete, right? They might not give you 15 or 20 on a given night, but they're going to come in, they're going to play hard, they're going to play their role, right? They have guys that can plug in. And I feel like a lot of these other teams, that we've been talking about, like they don't really have that. Like Casey Wallace, for example, Kentucky boy, right? He's come in, he's held his own, he's played great throughout this series, I feel like. I mean, he's a young
Solid
guy.
defense.
He's a young guy, and I think a lot of that speaks to the organization in itself, right? And how they're trying to develop these guys and get them to buy in. I think a lot of it has to do with the culture and things. But yes, I think the Thunder absolutely have it. They have a star in SGA, but they also have guys around him in that starting lineup that can go out there and, Jalen Williams took over one night and had 30 something.
Caruso.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Caruso,
role players,
like
yeah.
they just have people that can fill in if these guys don't have, a great night. And the Nuggets, they have Jokic, they have Murray, but like Michael Porter Jr., for example, he's been a no-show, this whole series. Like he has played terrible. I think he's had less than 6 points the last 2 games, combined. I don't think he scored last night. He might have ended up scoring towards the end of the game, but I
I could
checked like in the
see
third or fourth quarter, he
him
had
being
0
on the
points.
trade soon I just feel like he's
They're going
not.
to have to get deeper.
Yeah,
If Jokic is going to stay, like they have to go somewhere besides. They're going to have to get a dominant 3 guy, because that's where they're lacking. Like where Porter's size, that's what they really needed him to be. But you got the shooting guard, and you got Jokic who does it all.
Yep.
I mean, but you don't have that 3 or 4 guy that can play big and outside that they really need in that type of team. They've just got to get deep. They only play like 7 guys, too. I mean, Joker, I mean, is still dominating. I mean, he dropped 45 last night or something like that.
Yes.
I mean, he just dominates, but he's got to have some help. He's playing so many minutes right now. And so, I mean,
Well, look, we're going to come back to the NBA because we're going to talk about the lottery, but let's take a break from it and let's go to for our next segment. Let's talk about a very interesting guy, and Bill Belichick. And Colton, I kind of wanted you to lead us into this segment because
it's your boy.
Bill Belichick is a guy who me and you have obviously been Patriots fans for, since Tom Brady. I mean, it's just saying a complete 180 from the guy. So kind of talk about Bill Belichick, obviously where he transitioned to after retirement, where he's at now, and then let's get into some stuff about what's going on, where he's at right now. But go ahead, Colton.
yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Belichick is going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. The dynasty run with the Patriots at the time that Brady was there, everyone can sit there and say, "Oh, was it more this, more that?" At the end of the day, it was a combination of Brady and Belichick that helped lead that dynasty. It wasn't just Brady, it wasn't just Belichick. But then, obviously, the last couple of years after Brady left for Tampa, the Patriots kind of went down. They were still kind of stuck in their ways, but they didn't have Tom Brady anymore. And that recipe was not working. So they kind of, I wouldn't say fired, but pretty much gave Bill Belichick the chance to step down. He got into TV a little bit. He ended up not getting a coaching job in like the immediate coaching cycle the next year. Everyone assumed like he took the year off. He was going to get a head coaching job in the NFL this coming year. And then out of nowhere, he announces he's going to be the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels in football, returning back to the college. And he brings in with him his former GM to be the GM of the program. And you're just like,
That's
okay,
not the only person he brought in.
No. And so what else says? So there's all the storylines of football, and none of them are the ones that's ahead of the storyline, because Bill Belichick is dating a 24-year-old
Younger than all of us.
Hudson. She's young, yes, by multiple years. I mean, she's almost 5 years younger.
That man could be our grandfather.
I mean, he's Bill Belichick's. I mean, what is he? 68,
He's
69,
73.
73. My goodness.
He's 73.
My goodness. Anyhow, so he has brought this 24-year-old girlfriend, and she is like some type of.
Crazy.
She got some type of. I was going to say a role in. I was going to say a specific role in the company, but yeah, but Dylan. But she's something with the schools. Like she was like his. It's pretty much some type of publicist / assistant / operations, doing something with marketing, something, I don't know, all kinds of different roles there. And so since all this has happened, they did an interview on CBS or something like
CBS.
and it was the most awkward interview of all time. And then all of a sudden these storylines started coming out, how like she stormed out, she was mad, she was all this and that. And then the next thing you know, you start seeing Bill Belichick's family worried about Bill Belichick and with his relationship. And then it's North Carolina football won't allow Jordan Hudson into the facilities anymore. Then it comes out like a few hours later, North Carolina will allow Jordan Hudson into the. I mean, and the thing is, it's just been constant drama. Which, if you really knew anything about Bill Belichick, the thing, like, he didn't do interviews, he didn't do the podium, he didn't want the press, like, he barely talked. He wanted the Patriots to be this closed net. So, like, that's what he thrived on. He wanted to run that type of system. And so now to see that he's wrote a book, he's doing these interviews, obviously people are turning to the reason why he's doing all this stuff all of a sudden is maybe his 24-year-old girlfriend. And it has become a mess. I mean, even the headline came out yesterday that there's a good chance that he don't even make it to week one as the head
Yep, I
coach
saw that.
Yep.
of the North Carolina Tar Heels. I mean, we're talking about a man who's going to go down as one of the, if not the top head coach of all time in football. And we're talking like a guy that's slowly hurting his reputation.
Yeah,
I
for
mean, by
sure.
this, like he really just needs to retire, go off somewhere with the 24-year-old girlfriend, stay off the media,
Yeah.
and just go retire, but don't be ill or get rid of it. Just focus
Well,
on football.
Mason, before you talk about anything with Bill Belichick, I want to talk a little bit more about the CBS interview because I don't know if y'all watched any of it, and I'm sure you watched clips of it. But first off, if you're going to do an interview, especially with CBS, I've got two big things. First off, I know that Bill Belichick was always kind of known for wearing like baggy clothes. He's got the cutoff and but that's in a football game. Like that's who he is. But in this interview with CBS, the man was wearing some ruggedy old
I had holes all in.
yeah, and it had holes like where you could see his skin, like multiple holes in it. And I'm just like, what is he doing? And then you look over at Jordan Hudson, who is his 24-year-old girlfriend, who's dressed like fine wine, I guess is what people would say. Like, I mean, like she's all dressed up and fancy and anyways, in the interview, the commentator, which I or not the commentator, but the guy who was asking the questions, was not really like digging for information. Like when because I watched that part of it, I watched a good segment of it, and he done a very very good job. But he said, um, he wanted to know how Hudson and Mr. Belichick had met. Like not asking like what is y'all's relationship like? What is she going to be doing as far as with the North Carolina Tar Heels? Will she play a factor? Like not even like digging for like give me something. All he asked was how did you all meet? And the girl Hudson yells out live stream and says we're not talking about this. And it was just really awkward. Like, I mean, and I'm just sitting here, I'm just like, what is going on right now? Like, is this the same Bill Belichick who has took the Patriots, like Colton has said, and won multiple championships and is just this Hall of Fame coach and this classic guy who doesn't stand for any of that nonsense. And now is letting this 24-year-old basically run his life. I mean, that's what it is. And it wasn't just something that, a lot of times people can, assume the worst and they everybody is assuming the worst. It's not just a couple of people, not even people who hate Bill Belichick, people who love Bill Belichick, as myself and Colton. Like, what is going on? Mason, as a 74-year-old man and a 24-year-old girl, what is going on right now?
I mean, she either has something over his head or he's just reliving his glory days right now and doesn't want to let go of it because, I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know what this man, and like y'all said, it's just so surprising coming from this man, like how serious he used to be, and didn't take no crap when he was at the Patriots. Like I feel like back in the day, if one of his players would have had a girlfriend like this, he'd have been like, it's either you or her. Either she goes or
Yeah.
you go. And now he's just like buying into all of it, acting like he doesn't care, not saying anything. So I don't know if it's like a late life crisis, not a midlife anymore, late life crisis, But like Colton said, I mean, I think at this point he needs to pick one or the other, right? If he's enjoying his time with her and that's what he wants to do, so be it. Go ahead, go do it. You've done your fair share for the game of football. Just stop before you ruin your legacy, and this is all everybody remembers you for. Or if you want to keep coaching football, then buckle down and tell her to kick rocks and hit the road and get locked in on football
Right.
again. But like you said, there was something that came out about, I think after June 1st, his buyout drops from $10 million to $1 million. So now they're thinking like, okay, after June 1st, I seen people talking about a job possibly with the Atlanta Falcons, like where did all this come from? Because I remember it was, when he got hired, he came on the Pat McAfee show and they were talking about it. He's like, yeah, we're so excited. We're already out, getting interest, talking to players, trying to build this program. And they were talking about, how he brings over his knowledge from the NFL and how that can help him land prospects, and he was so excited about it. Now all this, and it's just like,
Yeah.
what in the world is going on?
So, Colton, my question now for you is, aside from his personal issues and stuff, if you're a player, whether it be the transfer portal or high school, I mean, obviously, yeah, Bill Belichick. Like, I mean, like the name itself, like, wow, like I have a chance to go play for Bill Belichick at North Carolina, which is, not a star-studded football school, but like I said, Bill Belichick. What does that do with all this personal stuff as a player? Like, are you thinking like, I don't want anything to do with this old guy who has a 24-year-old girlfriend? Is that something that you think that players are taking into account, or are they just like pushing that to the side, like it's still football? The man knows the game. Like, what? I mean, I think that's intriguing to think about. Like, what there has to be like, if you're getting recruited from him, like what is the thought process? What do you think about the whole situation itself as far as players and it affecting them?
Yeah. So here's my thing. It is interesting because when other would we have talked about North Carolina football?
Never.
Right. Never. So I think we have to be cautious because I don't know how much of this is for show, how much of this is like real life. Because look at all the publicity that all of a sudden North Carolina football gets. I don't know what their NIL package is. That comes down to mainly stuff for recruitment now, anyhow. Right. I do think they will get decent quarterbacks interest, and that's just because you're going to look and say, well, okay, this guy coached Tom Brady for 20 years, and you talk Drake May, Mitchell Trubisky, like they've had some really good quarterbacks in the last couple of years come out of North Carolina, and so now Bill Belichick's there, and all of a sudden you're kind of like, okay, they've had guys that go to the NFL and said some like been good players. And now I've got a guy who's maybe the greatest coach of all time and coached the greatest player of all time at quarterback. So I definitely see a quarterback looking at North Carolina and saying, okay, this could be a place like I want to go. But I don't know that the publicity is going to hurt recruitment. The biggest thing that should hurt recruitment is how long is this man going to be there, right?
That's what I was going to
I
say.
mean, you're wanting 73 years old. I mean, it's not like, I mean, you're like, oh man, if you're planning on being a 4-year player, I would almost bet he's not there 4 years from now. I don't see it. I mean, I think it might be a 1 year. Heck, it might even be just a 1 year stop. They actually have some success, and there might be an NFL coaching job come back, and he may say, "The heck with this, I want to go back to the NFL." And who
Didn't they
knows what
just hire?
more is coming out.
Wasn't
So
who was it? Brown.
Mac Brown,
Yeah, I mean, he was an
right?
old.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like he was only there for what, last 2 years, 3 years. Like he returned back. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You're essentially looking at the same thing with Belichick at the max. So it's not like and we're not talking about a program that is already elite. Like North Carolina's they've been like a Kentucky football, right? They're competitive. They're going to win their 6 to 7 games, maybe
Bowl
9 if they
game.
have a great season. They're going to go to a bowl game. But the reality is that they played any of the top teams that just wouldn't be on the same level with them. And that's been North Carolina football. So we're not talking about like an Alabama. Like they're going to need years to build if they want them to be an actual like contender in anything. And by that point, he's probably not even going to be there. So I don't really know what the whole deal is. I mean, but it'll be a story to watch, right? It's going to be all over. I mean, their opening game or the first time that they play a decent opponent, it's going to be the headline, right?
College
Heck,
game
they'll
day,
probably get
bro.
college. They'll probably get college game day. That's what I was going to say. Like all of a sudden, so part of this, I'm sure, is like a legit problem, but also they might actually somewhat know what they're doing and building the publicity up for the school,
Yeah,
getting more advertisement, marketing. So I don't know about it.
yeah. Any more thoughts, Mason?
I mean, my initial, like, if I'm a recruit, right? I'm a high level recruit. My only thing right now is with all these kind of rumors floating around, like, is he even going to be here? I just think that hurts him right now. And then, I mean, the other thing is, Cody, like, you said, I agree. Like, it's going to take him a few years, to build this program. But if he's not willing to be there for a few years, what's the point in even doing this? Because like it can't help your legacy, right? Like what I feel like all it can do is damage it unless he goes on some unbelievable run and makes a college football playoff. But I just don't see that happening in his first 2 years. So I don't know. All of this is this is kind of weird to me, with all this coming out. I thought maybe he was planning to be here for a little bit. Let's give college a shot. Let's try to grow it. The college landscape's changing. But now with all this, I mean, who knows? So
Yeah. All right. Well, let's shift gears back to the NBA. Last week, or this past week, we have had the NBA draft lottery where the Dallas Mavericks landed the number 1 pick. And coming into this draft lottery, they had a 1.8% odds. That is the 4th lowest to win a drawing since it was instituted back in 1985. I mean, that is shocking. I mean, if you just like 1.8%. But you have the Mavericks at the 1 pick. I'm just going to tell you the top 5. The Mavericks are going to have the number 1 pick. The Spurs will have the 2 picks. The 76ers, the 3rd pick. The Hornets at the 4th pick. And then the Utah Jazz at the 5th pick. There's a lot of different roads we could take. You could talk about, does this make the whole Nico Harrison deal? Like, is he coming out on top? Does this kind of, heal some of the wounds that was, some of the Dallas Maverick fans had ever since they got rid of Luka? Does the Mavericks trade this pick? Do they venture out? Like, there's a lot of different ways you can take this and go down. So, Mason, I want to hand it over to you first. You talk about whatever you want about it.
So initially, people talking about, oh, well, did he win this trade, with the Luka trade? This has nothing to do with his Luka trade. He got lucky, all right? I think he got bailed out. And
Absolutely.
and you've seen all these kind of conspiracy theories about, oh, the NBA's rigged. They did this to make up for that trade because everybody was complaining about it, yada, yada. I'm not going to say all that. But he got bailed out with this, all right? And I think we talked about it, before. I think that's a perfect fit for Cooper Flag. I think there were a couple teams he could have went. But I think for Cooper Flag to be able to come in and play around Kyrie and Anthony Davis where he doesn't have to be that number 1 option.
Klay Thompson, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why they would trade it. I mean, who are you going to go out and get? Some other stud to take away from AD and Kyrie? That's pointless, right? Get this young guy, get him in, let him develop for a couple years and learn under these guys where he doesn't have to be the main guy. And who knows, in a couple years he could be a stud. So I think that's so lucky for them, but I think it's a great fit, for both of them, and glad everything worked out for the Mavs. But I think it'll be exciting to see Cooper Flag on that team. And I mean, going into next year, who knows? I don't know what Cooper Flag is going to do, but I'd say they'll be top 5, 6 probably preseason in the West. Just kind of coming in with who they have. I think they can get a little bit deeper probably, but I think this is going to help them a lot. I really do. And then
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I guess the next interesting thing to me is the Spurs at 2. Is there really a guy in this draft that can come in and help that team? I mean, I know you have Harper and Bailey and, Edgecombe, I think, are kind of rounding out the top 5, and then maybe Con Kneppel kind of rounding out the top 5 projected mock drafts right now. I don't think any of those guys really are going to come in and make them better. So
the last I looked at the lottery, like a mock draft, like I think yesterday I looked at it. They had Con Kneppel going at 13 to the Spurs. Like that, they had him going falling
See,
outside
I was
the
looking
top
at
10.
one earlier. They had him at 5 to the Jazz.
Honestly, it must have moved up.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a ton of different mock drafts, obviously, but with this whole thing kind of floating around with Giannis, what if Giannis and Wemby were together? I mean, could you imagine those two on the same team? So I mean that's going to be probably the most interesting. I think Cooper Flag's probably locked in. Going to the Mavs. I don't see them trading that. But that's kind of where my attention is now. Like, what are the Spurs going to do with this pick? Who do they try to go out and get? Because they obviously need another piece or two. Do they go try to get more depth? Do they go try to get another stud? Do they rely on the draft and try to develop some young talent. So that's probably the most interesting thing right now for me from the lottery, other than the Mavs getting lucky.
Yeah, I agree with you totally about Nico Harrison. Definitely full. I had so much luck. I, I really don't think that this will heal a lot of the people, because I think there were so many people invested to Luca. They loved him. They welcomed him into their city, and he done so much for them. I think it's going to take a little while. However, I do. I don't disagree with what you're saying about it being a perfect fit. But given Nico Harrison's history, especially with the trade that he made under the radar, nobody knowing about it, if I'm Nico Harrison, I'm at least talking to other teams and venturing out to see potentially what I could get. Not to say that you have to do that, but what's it going to hurt? I mean, like, it's not gonna hurt anything. Like, I would be talking to the Bucks. Like, what could I get out of it with Giannis? I would talk to the Suns. Like, what could I get with Kevin Durant? Like, those top guys. Like, I know that we want to talk about, like, oh, we don't need them, but I mean, here's my only fear. You have Kyrie coming off an injury. Kyrie's also older. You're coming off AD, he's
Injury
injury
prone.
prone. So, with that being said, and you have Klay Thompson, who is, let's just be honest, Klay Thompson is not even 35% of what Klay Thompson used to be. He's hurt. He was hurt. I mean, he's not hurt now, but he's went through some injuries. He's getting older as well. So I guess my biggest thing is, if I'm going to venture out, I want to see what star could I get that is established themselves as that star, and not necessarily a star that we would have to kind of raise up and kind of like, oh, in 5 years, because some teams, they're not about that life. I mean, they're not, like, they don't want to do a full reset. And I think if Nico, I do think that he's a smart guy. I do. I mean, obviously, to get where he's at, I mean, you have to be a smart guy, whether the trade was dumb or not. I mean, I think that he's going to look at every option that he can to see what he could get out of Cooper Flag, because you hardly ever see now a guy come straight from college and immediately have an impact where he is that number one and going to take a team deep in the playoffs and get to a conference championship game, let alone an NBA Finals championship. But and I keep going back to the Giannis. Giannis has done that. He's been there. He's done that. And Milwaukee, they might be ready for a full reset mode. I feel like that might be something brewing in Milwaukee. It might not be, but I mean, you have Damian Lillard, who's hurt. So, I, granted, he is a good part. He is a good fit for the Mavs. I would think that Nico's going to search and see, like, what could I get? Could I get a star player and just trade this draft pick with a couple of later draft picks or a couple of role players, or could I possibly get a star with maybe a role player? Like, I don't know what that would be, the business side that I don't know what he's had to be asking, but I think it would be a good thing to do. Coden, what do you think?
Yeah, um, I think you shop it to see if you can get Giannis, and other than that, you don't. To me, KD's too old to come and be part of an already old team, right? I just think that yes, KD is dominant, but I mean, you're talking about then having four guys on your team that within 3 years all may be done. Like, I mean, so there's no like future there, right? Because you trade away Flag, and I mean, I just I just don't think there's a lot of future there to me. I mean, I think you just got to, if it ain't Giannis, Giannis is right at 30, so he's going to have his other, with the way he's built. I mean, he's got 5 or 6 really good years left at least. And you could build around him a little bit. But if I'm the Mavs, I just keep it. I take Flag. Because when do they have the Lakers first round pick that they got from? Like, when is that pick? Is it this year
I don't
or is it
think
next
so.
year?
Hold on, I'm looking through here.
So, because like if you're talking about if it's this year, if you take Flag, let's say you get a pretty good player in the first round, wherever the Lakers fall, they're going to fall what, middle of the pack, like number 20 or something. I mean, they're going to you can get a pretty good pick there, and so if you can do that, then you're
Hawks have the
looking.
Lakers first round this year.
The Hawks do. Okay, so but yeah, I mean, you get a decent pick in the second round or something, and maybe you go out and find a role player, right? Because you're not going. It's not like you're going to be spending a lot of money. I mean, you don't have a lot of. I mean, you're going to have some money to spend. Now that you don't have Luka on the team, and you're not going to have to pay Flag for what 4 years or however long it is. I just think now's your time. I think you're going to have AD with 2 or 3 good years left, Kyrie with 2 years left, and you're going to have a Klay Thompson that if he is the fourth best player on the floor, Mike can reignite a Klay Thompson shooting
He can still
spree.
knock down open shots.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if he's the fourth guy that they're having to worry about shooting, yeah, he all of a sudden becomes more of a threat. So then go and get. I mean, Daniel Gafford is a pretty decent big too. I mean, and so if you can find a way to bring in 3 or 4 role players that are pretty solid role players, like the type of role players like the Josh Harts, the Carusos, like those type of guys, bring in 3 or 4 of those guys, and look, I think the Mavs are going to have. I mean, people are going to have problems with the Mavs next year. I'm big on Flag. I think I don't know that this first year is going to be a 30-point a night scorer. I don't believe that. But man, I just think he makes every team better in a lot of ways. I mean, he's a good defender. His size, his ability to score, his IQ. I mean, he's got a lot of things that you want in a basketball. He's like a shorter Joker is what he really reminds me of.
Did you see what Paul George said on his podcast? And I think that I'm curious to what other NBA players think as well. He was saying in a nutshell that he thinks that Ace Bailey would be the number 1 pick if he had the pick because of his upside. He thinks that Ace Bailey's upside, he has a little bit more than Cooper Flag. He said Cooper Flag's a great player. He fits any system. But as far as like taking over an NBA game, that's kind of what he was saying. And I was like, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, but that's also coming from a guy who has spent his career, I feel like, trying to be in that mode and hasn't even sniffed what has he ever been to maybe even a conference finals?
He's been to conference finals. He sniffed it. He was but the only thing is he matched up with the King way too many times.
Right. Well, what I'm saying though is like George is not this type of guy, but like I feel like he's coming at. I feel like he's coming at it from that mindset of like a Carmelo Anthony, right? Like, okay,
Charles Barkley.
Give me a player that's going to get at least 8 rebounds, 14 points, 8 assists, compared to a guy that's going to give me 25 points and 2 assists.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that's what I think Flag is.
Yeah, and I think, like Dylan, you said, like shop around, but I think if he does trade, and like Holt said, I'd almost only go for Giannis, but he's taking a big risk because if that doesn't work out, he's gone. He's gone. He's taking a huge risk.
You traded Luka and one of the top generational players like to come through in a long time.
Yeah. If it doesn't work out, if he does decide to trade it and it doesn't work out in a year, I'd say probably that first year if it doesn't work out. If they don't make a finals, then he's out the door. So he's got to be careful.
All right, well, let's go to the PGA, and this will be our last segment for the night. We have about 15, 20 minutes we can talk about this. So we have our second major of the year, the PGA Championship, going to be played at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm just going to give y'all some stats and some stuff, and then we'll talk a little about it. So Quail Hollow is a big layout. It's got a lot of history as well. Usually the siege or the Byron Nelson, that's where that's usually played at, but it had to be switched because it was played, not the Byron Nelson, the
Wells
Fargo is usually played there. Yeah, it was the host of the President's Cup, not this past year, but the year before. It's something that's kind of your modern style. It's power golf. That's something that a lot of people have been talking about this week heading into this. It's one that you can get after. The greens are on the bigger side compared to championship major golf. It's average. I looked this up. It says 6,600 square feet. The course is long. It's 7,600 yards. So I think it's the second longest behind Torrey Pines, maybe is what I think. However, it is playing even longer because of weather. They have received, I think it was 4.6 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain. And I also was watching the Golf Channel this afternoon, and they were saying how like Quail Hollow is one of the only golf clubs left that really like it doesn't drain very well. Like it does, it drains. I mean, compared to your other courses, but like a PGA course, it holds water more than most do. And there is more rain in the forecast. There is rain coming still. It's also known for its final 3-hole stretch. It's known as the Green Mile. Winners typically excel here with their tee to green shots, with 60% of their overall score coming from that area and the 40% coming from their putting. Something interesting, and then I'll let y'all have it. I feel like Quail Hall is kind of receiving some hate. And what I mean by that, and I'm sure Colton, y'all already know, there has been multiple players. If anybody has watched any conferences or any thing that the players have been talking about, they've talked about, and I want to specifically talk about JT because I thought what he said was very bold. And basically what he's saying, and most players have said, there's not a lot of strategy when you go play at Quail Hollow. It's bomb it off the tee, hit it as far and as straight as you can. If you keep it in the fairway, it's really not a crazy difficult golf course. You can't. I mean, obviously the rough is rough. It's a major course, so yeah, that it could get you in trouble. However, a lot of the players are saying like there's really not a lot of shot shaping here. It's kind of one of those you can just get after. The only thing that I guess that it has in its defense is that it's going to play really, really long. So, is there a lot of hate going on? And like, does Quail Hollow does it deserve it? Is it just a different type of championship style course? And obviously, it's not the Masters where you have to shot shape. You have to be able to play a draw. You got to be able to play a cut. You got to be able to do this and that. There, Colton, what are your thoughts on the players saying that? Is there truth to that? Are they just telling what it is, how it is? Or is it kind of unwarranted hate?
Yeah, I think that's probably coming from a few of the guys that aren't Rory and Bryson. Because I mean, you take Rory's won here 4 times, so it makes sense that it's a bomber's course, right?
This is the Rory McIlroy Country Club, according to
Yeah,
Jordan Speed.
right. So my thought towards it is PGA Championship is not like the other 3 majors. U.S. Open is meant to be tough. Like you want single digit scoring to win, single digit under par. The Open is meant to be a length style where you're gonna have to deal with the elements of wind, rain, bump and runs, slopes, right, pop bunkers. Like that's what they want for the Open. And the Masters is just meant to be. You're gonna have some score
Mental
holes. You're gonna have,
chaos.
mate. It really is. You hit there. You have so many different type of lies that you have to hit draws. You have to hit cuts. You have to. I mean, you have to be on your game on the greens. The PGA is really just meant to be a. It's not necessarily who can go the lowest. Like it's not something to go out there and go 30, but it's supposed to be a test. But it's also supposed to be like it's the Players Championship. So it's kind of like the Players Tournament, right? Like that tournament gets won with like a 18 to 20 under, and that's kind of what the PGA is, right? The majority of these players are getting to play. The majority of players on the PGA Tour get to play in this PGA Championship, and they don't want to like this. Just isn't that championship where you go 5 under. Like they're going to get a 18 to 20. I think you're just seeing the ones that aren't the Brysons, and because they're probably looking at the course and they're sitting there saying, Rory's already on fire, and he's won here 4 times, and the course is set up this week to essentially bomb it because it's going to be playing longer with the rain. So who's going to be one of the favorites? Rory. It's going to be tough to beat him when he's pounding driver. Who's also playing so well? Bryson.
Scotty.
And then obviously everyone's chasing Scotty, right? But I mean, even then, like and so you have these ones that like they were talking about like Colin Morikawa, how he's like middle of the pack in distance, right? So I mean, those are the type of guys that's like they're going to have, they're probably having an one club or maybe two club in difference than what maybe the lines that Bryson and Rory's taking, and who knows like how that plays out. But I think Quail Hollow is a good layout for a PGA Champ. I mean, there was at Valhalla last year, right? I mean, it's just those are PGA type courses where there's going to be some drivable holes. They're going to play distance, bigger greens. It's not something that's surrounded by a bunch of danger. You sit there and just try to hit and make putts, and that's
Yeah.
essentially what the PGA is.
Yeah. Mason, I want to hear your thoughts on whatever you want to talk about with that. But also, I think it's so intriguing and so interesting that going into the PGA, and like Colton said, but pretty much all the headlines. But you talk about Rory, who he's won here 4 times. He's playing really good. He's already won 3 times this year. You have Scotty Scheffler, who's the number 1 player in the world, who's coming off a win. Didn't play last week, so he's literally coming into this week off a win. And you talk about even Justin Thomas, who's feeling good. But there's one player we're not talking about that nobody seems to be talking about who's trying to chase a Grand Slam. It's Jordan Spieth. Like, if you're Jordan Spieth, are you sitting there thinking like, guys, pause? Like, I mean, obviously he's not wanting all the attention, but like, I'm still here. Like, I'm still relevant. I'm playing pretty good. I have a chance to complete a Grand Slam. Like, that's really nothing that like people are all over talking about in the golf world. And it's nothing like the Masters where like every year that Rory went, it was Rory, is he going to win? Is he going to win? Like, that's all that it was pretty much. So like, what that blows my mind. It does, but it doesn't at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. There's so many storylines, like you said. And I think the biggest thing with Spieth is all these other guys that we're talking about, like they're successful right now. So I think there's some recency bias going into some of these things. Like Spieth, he started playing better this year. I'll give him that. But I mean, after how dominant he was, he just kind of fell off the map. He was missing cuts left and right and not really finishing top of the leaderboard. So I think he's just getting a little overlooked in the media coverage because of that. I've seen people bring it up, but I mean, yeah, there's like you said, there's so many good storylines. Obviously, Rory and Scotty right now. Bryson, he just won Live Korea, and JT is where he won his first major, right? And he's playing really. I think he's had a chance to win 3 out of his last 4 he's played in. He's been right there at the top and had a chance to win it. So it's obviously going to be a great tournament. I think one of the things that I don't have a problem with the course and the layout and how it's going to be played. That kind of driver's course. It's going to be long. But I saw somebody bring something up that was interesting to me about that they feel like the majors, right? Like this major here, PGA Championship, they play this course every year. They feel like the majors should be played where, at a different course every year, where they don't play it on the tour every year. That's part of the intriguing and what everybody gets excited about. Oh, they haven't played this course and so. Here's what they've done with it. Here's how it's going to play.
Other than the Masters.
Right. Yeah, obviously the Masters is a completely different story. But, all these other majors, I feel like, it was just weird, I guess, and I agree with that statement. Like, I wish they would do it at a course that they don't play every year, right? We get to see a new course. We get to learn about a new course. You kind of have all that talk about what are the players going to do. So that's kind of my only take here on Quail Hollow. I don't think it's a bad course. I don't know, Dylan, I know you watch YouTube golf some, but did you watch Grant Horvat's video here with the Bryan brothers?
No, I've not been able to watch any this week.
I mean, they kept talking about it. It's a long course. It was, but I think all 3 of them, were 3 over after 9, which isn't going to get it done, obviously. But I think, that just showed like it's not that tough if you hit fairways. What was the biggest thing that I gathered, and that's what everybody's saying. So we'll see. It's definitely going to be those 2 top guys. Scotty and Rory right now are both plus 500. They're tied for best odds.
Well, think about that. I mean, you talked about the storyline. It's not even being brought up that Brooks Koepka, a multiple PGA Championship winner, Colin Morikawa has won the PGA Championship. Xander Schauffele won it last year.
Yeah, nobody talking about him.
And no one's talking about Xander. Right? I mean, what an elite group though. Scotty, Rory, and Xander going off at set 8:22 Eastern time.
Tuned
Oh
in.
my goodness. Yes.
Locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, what a group. But there's just
Colton,
so many
Colton have a
storylines for this.
conference call. Colton's
Yeah,
locked in.
yeah, yeah. Camera off.
Uh, well, let's go ahead and let's get into our picks. Let's just make it well known. Obviously, Scotty,
But
Rory, and Bryson. I think those are your three head honchers.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
is it.
I'm in agreement. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm in agreement. Let's put those three up. They're the two longest in Rory and Bryson and playing well, and then Scotty's number one in the world. So
Yes,
let's
absolutely.
just let's give three picks. That's not those three.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll lead us off tonight. So my first, I guess, sleeper pick, even though it's not a sleeper in my opinion, because he's playing very well and he plays very well at majors, is going to be Justin Rose. Um, Justin Rose, he has placed second in the past two majors. Masters went to a playoff with Rory where he lost, and then last year's at the Open lost to Xander. I think Justin Rose, the more I watch his game, it reminds me of Rory. Like with age, he's he's developing. Like he's so much more well rounded as a player. I think he has has a great mentality. His mental state of the game. He wants to win. Like whenever I watched um, that Netflix series, I went blank. What's it called?
Full swing.
Full Swing. Like I loved watching his segment because he's just a competitor. Like I mean, he wants to win so bad. Like and even at the age that he's at and the career that he's had, he wants to win. I know they all do, but I really enjoyed watching his episode. And also Justin Rose has placed third two times here before. So he knows the property. He's been on tour a while. So I really like Justin Rose going into this week's PGA Championship. My other two, one is a really, really far out sleeper, and the other one is somewhat. My next one is going to be Hideki. I like
Mm.
Hideki. I, I think that Hideki, like it's so weird. He's had a weird season. Like, not it's kind of uncharacteristic like Hideki. Like he's not placing top 20s like he was last year, but yet he still finds a way to play well here and there. I mean, I think Hideki also can go low at times. Like it's just like, where did this round come from? Like this past week, if you was watching, I mean, there was one, I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday one where he went low, chipped in on 18, was shot like 7 or 8 under. So I like Hideki. And then my biggest sleeper is let him cook. Let him cook. Min Woo.
Minwoo.
I like Min Woo. And the reason why I like Min Woo is because he's
The
another bomber. I
distance.
mean,
Yeah.
distance off the tee. This course doesn't have a lot of tree trouble. I mean, I think that he's so long, his swing speed, and if he can just keep it in the fairway. I mean, you saw whenever I don't know what tournament it was he won. I forgot he played with Scotty, but I mean, he just he has the potential to win a PGA championship. So those are my three: Justin Rose, Hideki, and Minwoo Lee. Colton, who you got?
So one of my sleepers is going to be Maverick McNeely. His two best things is he's a very good putter, and he has a pretty decent distance with him. So like I think those are two things that's needed here at Quail Hollow. And he's played well this year. He just kind of goes under the radar, but the man is ranked in the top, like, well, I don't know what it is. He's like top 25 in the world. McNeely is. So like I mean he's definitely like a good player. So that's gonna be one. Another sleeper pick. I'm gonna go just because of his ability to kind of bomb it, and he's had some decent rounds this year. But I'm gonna go with Jake Knapp. I think
Smooth
that
criminal, man. It swings smooth.
if he can get his putter going, like he's been a pretty good putter, but the last tournament he played in, he was like at the bottom of the field, and like for the most part, he's been in like the top part of the PGA this year in putting, and then he just like was dead last in the field. But I mean, he's solid. And then for my last one, I it's tough. I want to go with I want to go with like a Hatton, Terrell Hatton. I'm trying to think of some of these live guys that I like, and Hatton to me is he's kind of like a Tommy Fleetwood, where he's always up there in like the top 20. Like he's not that he does anything special about his game, but he's always up there in the top 20. But I think he's got the ability to finish more than what Fleetwood does. He's got that kind of more killer instinct in him than what Fleetwood does, and so that's going to be my three. The distance could hurt him a little bit because he's not the longest guy, but he's a grinder, and he's just constantly up there in the top 15. So those are going to be my three sleepers. That's not the top big guys.
Yeah. All right, Mason, who you got? End it for us.
Well, obviously, I like my boy JT. He's playing really well right now. Going to throw him in there. I also like Patrick Cantlay. I know he kind of gets some hate at majors and things, but he's top 15 right now. Strokes gained tee to green, and then greens in regulation. So he's top 15 in both of those. So I like Cantlay. If he can keep it in the fairway, he's pretty good with his long irons. He's pretty consistent. So he played well last week. He had a great day on Sunday, I think. He was playing really well on the front nine there. He had a couple hiccups on the back, but I like Cantlay. And then I'm going to take a long shot here just because he can kind of bomb it too. And I feel like he's been playing well. He just got to eliminate. He has some blow-up holes that really hurt him. But Cam Young, he can get hot. I feel like he always has a round where he takes a triple bogey or a double bogey. He just makes some dumb mistakes. So if he can eliminate those with the way this course is going to play, I think he has a decent chance to.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting. I think a bunch of us are going to be tuned in early in the AM on Thursday morning with the key grouping going out in Rory, Xander, and Scotty. What a threesome. I mean, fellas, real quick, what are we doing? If we had to take 2 low balls, those 3 against us 3 at Hidden Hills Country Club.
How bad are we getting beat?
They're shooting in 18 holes. They're probably 2 low balls. They're probably shooting somewhere around 14 under.
What are we doing?
We're probably shooting close to probably 14 over.
Yeah.
So we're getting beat essentially by 28 shots.
What if we scramble and they let us play from the red tees?
We're getting beat by probably 14 shots.
Love the confidence. But anyways, all right, fellas. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, go Cats.
Go Cats.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.